Welcome to Built to Win, the podcast created to help you level up your business game by developing a success mindset that's made for the long run. We are back with After the Battle, in which Neora founder Jeff Olson sits down with Deborah Heiss to share how years of hard work finally paid off and allowed them to enjoy an unprecedented, historic victory. You'll learn what that victory meant to Jeff and why he believes his leadership team was able to weather the storm and emerge victorious.
Hello, Built to Win listeners. So glad to have you back for another podcast episode. This is really a continuation of the last episode. So who haven't listened to the one before this, please listen to that one before this one starts. Otherwise, it might seem a little out of context. I'm Deborah Heiss. I am co-CEO of Neora and CEO of Live Happy. I am here with CEO of Neora and founder of Neora, Jeff Olson. And we are talking about the big gargantuan thing that we went through together over the last 7 years, which is Neora's fight with the FTC and what that means and what it means to us, what it means to the company, what it means to the industry, what it means to the world at large, how we got through it, and things we've learned from it. But I really want to start by telling you we won. So the FTC brought 5 charges against Neora and Jeff as well. And at the conclusion of the court case, we went all the way to court. We spent 2 weeks in courtroom battling the FTC. We won. We won on all counts. And the FTC declined to appeal. So that victory is permanent and it stands. And we couldn't feel more vindicated or justified in having gone through this fight. But the first question I want to ask Jeff is when the ruling came out, because it was 10 months after the court case, 10 months after. How did you feel?
Well, obviously to be so vindicated was a blessing and a great feeling. But, it was a very emotional time for all of us, okay, every one of us, because you don't know until you know. And you always hear something rogue goes down, something goes wrong, but the truth is, we had an incredible judge who really spent her time paying attention to all the pleadings, all the motions, all the data. Spent, I think it was close to 11 months, actually, 10 to 11 months, working on this ruling. The ruling was a very, very detailed ruling. But I remember when I first got told, we won. I said, okay, what do we win? They said, we won everything. I go, well, what? Does it mean everything? Because we had heard, okay, because all the quote unquote legal pundits, so, in the world, it just recently had a big event, so that does speak to that more. But they went around the room of all the big attorneys in this industry and saying how, in our case, is the most predominant case this industry's ever had. Okay, so here's a 100-year-old industry, more focused on this case than anything they've ever watched, because they realized it really. The fate of their company was in the hands of this ruling, okay? And it was that big. It wasn't just about us. It was about an industry. And so they all thought they're going to split the baby. And I remember Deb was at the event, calls me, and I said, well, you know why they're saying that? Because that's what they would do. We didn't do that because we were right 100%. They're not going to split the baby. You go back in there and just hold your head high. So, but you still have that thought, is there going to be something where the ruling's not going to be quite right? Well, the judge ruled 100% in our favor. There was no what ifs, no splitting the baby. It was a ruling, very, very well written, very detailed. And so for me, it was a growing process. I was very emotional that day, very relieved. Quite honestly, I didn't really know how to handle it at that moment in time. Okay, I wish I could have a do-over on that one, because I just didn't know what to do for a while. But then the whole thing grew as we had our dinner with our legal counsel. We had, there's like 50 of us, our management team, and them together, and their celebration, and listen to them toasting to, legitimacy of what we've done and who we are and how grateful they were to be part of it. And you start seeing it grow and grow. And, to all the way to the point where Deb and I have spoken at conferences, or CEOs and owners of companies are there, or distributors are there, and everybody's thanking you for this win. And, because it is like a solo journey. You're out there by yourself, but to realize that you really did affect that many people. I guess my long answer to a simple question, Deb, is I haven't quit reacting to it. Okay. And it just, it grows and it grows and it grows. And I you know, as emotional as it was that day, it's more significant today, you know? And I'm realizing the magnitude of what we did and what we stood for and how important it was for so many people, and how we were the company that was able to fight this fight because of who we are. And so I'm still reacting to it, you know, and feeling very, very blessed by it. And it feels good to see what should happen. Okay. Because we all too often hear other sides of that story, and to see the people who were in the right be validated. And that's what happens. So it's just a growing thing for me.
Well, I know for me, the hardest part of the entire 7-year plus journey was after the trial to the ruling. Right. Because I left the trial knowing that we'd won. I mean, I sat there every day, you listen to the arguments, and you're like, this judge, she's a very good, very well-respected judge, listened and considered everything. And you leave the room knowing, you know, with that certainty that you won, but over 10 and a half to 11 months to get an actual result, it starts getting painful, and you start getting doubt creep in, and you have the they're definitely going to split the baby, and the people who weren't in the courtroom weighing in on how they think the ruling is going to be. And it was very, very difficult to not know, to have put that much into that, and to know that you were in the right going in, and to know that you won, and that your lawyer did a tremendous job, and the facts were on your side, and not knowing. So for me, finding out the ruling was just a release of that 11 months of, I know you're right, but I have 11 months of self-doubt built in, and it allowed it to wash away. I was very confident right up to the last day of the trial, but then there's nothing you can do but wait. And that waiting is the hardest part. They aren't lying about that. Whoever came up with that phrase, it absolutely was. And, you know, and then when the ruling did come out, what surprised me was people making comments about, well, we got lucky with the judge. We didn't get lucky with the judge. We got a good judge. She was a Clinton appointee. She was probably not as business friendly as any other judge in the district we're in would have been. But she was a very good judge, but it wasn't a lucky judge. Then we started getting comments that because the ruling says there's no evidence, they couldn't believe that the FTC lawyers didn't put on any evidence. And people were like, well, don't you think next time they're going to spend more time finding evidence? And the answer was, they had an investigator on the case for 3 years with 40% of his time and his team looking for evidence. It's not that they didn't look for evidence, but when you didn't do anything, there isn't any evidence to find. So just having almost even after the fact to defend the ruling, even after you won the ruling, has been an interesting experience. But to your point, Jeff, it's still having an impact. It's still every day. I'm still reacting to it. We've still accomplished something no other company has ever accomplished in our industry, which is take the FTC all the way to court and have a complete victory. And that victory means a lot. So I want to start with the why did we win question, because I think that's fundamental for people to understand. This wasn't an accident. We were set up to win, and you know, we won because of who we are. So I know, Jeff, you founded the company under those principles, but let's talk a little bit about what the judge cited as to why we won.
Good question. Before I step into that, I want to add one more thing to where you're at and talk about the people question everything. When the government has 60 days to appeal your case. So during that 60 days, all the same pundits, all the people are saying, well, they're going to appeal the case because they have to, because it was, you know, this is just not good for them, especially because there was 2 parts in there. Big one is called agency, which is something that the judge ruled in our favor because of how well we run our compliance department, that type of thing. And there's a thing attached to it called means and instrumentation, which means we have the means to get people instruments to do the wrong thing, i.e., you know, we're not, and those tied together, people are not independent distributors or agents. So they thought they would have to appeal that, but they didn't. Okay. And so all the way up to there, you still had, you know, you got to understand, because this is about built to win leadership. it's a very lonely journey until it's not. And you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe in who you are, and you got to believe in what you did, and you got to believe what you're doing, and you can't waver at all, and that's very, very important. So with that, one of the reasons, well, a lot of reasons why we believe, we had built this company on legitimate customers. We don't see direct sales companies as our competitors. We see e-commerce, direct-to-consumer models, which, oh, by the way, is the fastest form of distribution happening right now. They're saying as much as 90% of all consumable goods will be sold that way by the year 2040, and we want to be part of that, okay? And so what's really neat about that, there's another report just came out that just said that the direct sales industry is going to grow from 200 billion now to about 330 billion in the next 6 years. It took it decades to get to 200 billion. It's only going to take us 6 more years to add on another 30. And it said that's been led by consumers' desire to have interaction with products to make a purchase. See, what we built was a direct-to-consumer model that allowed people, if a product can be felt, touched, experienced, explored, handled, demonstrated, educated, we could do that better than Amazon. We could give a personal touch to a product. And so we leaned into quality products that weren't attached to our business model. People are buying them as volunteer, and they bought them repetitively. We have people that bought our original product when we started over 12 years ago, been buying it every single month for 12 years. And the person who made that sale to that person has been getting a commission every single month for 12 years. It was a legitimate direct-to-consumer e-commerce platform built around products of value. One of the fun things we did in the trial is we did a presentation on our products as if we were doing a presentation at a meeting, okay? And got up there, and Amber went up there and just went through all the products and ingredients. You could see everybody in the courtroom leaning in like, these are great products. Because what the FTC had done is they denied that we had customers. They just said we don't, when we could show we had 80%. They just said our products weren't of value. When we know our products are value, and there's clinical data and all this testament to them. And so just because your naysayers, your attackers are going to say things that aren't true doesn't mean you don't do what's true. And so we built real products, heavy investment into them. One of our products was Princeton University worked on it for 20 years in their labs, patented it, and we got the exclusive rights to the product. That speaks to quality, okay? That's just an example of the type of data we really lean into, working with formulators and manufacturers and patents and universities, that type of thing. So we built a true legitimate customer model, and we built a model that didn't have the gotchas in it. Took all the requirement for inventories. You've heard about direct sales companies, you might have heard people had to buy inventory. We took that out. We shipped directly to a consumer and pay the commissions to the people. There wasn't inventory requirements in our thing. Took the fees out. A lot of times they have renewal fees, all that. We have a $20 to get in one time, and that's it. We look like an e-commerce platform with benefits for the customers, with referral benefits, with cashback benefits, with giving them birthday gifts. We wanted to look like a really sophisticated e-commerce company. So what happened is that's what we built, and that's who we were. And that's what Dr. Vandella looked at all the data, and we spent millions of dollars and said we are, and they ignored it. That's what I'm talking about. We just had to keep on going. So what we did is we built a company that was built to win, okay? Because it was built around solid business principles. It wasn't built to be a company that was just a direct sales company where people were just playing the game of the comp plan. We took all that stuff out of our comp plan, okay? We're not like some of the companies that are out there. This is a company that really is a legitimate e-commerce direct-to-consumer platform with legitimate products, with a model that took the gotchas out of it, and is very clean and very safe and very easy for the average person to do. And so the other thing it says in that report, it says what's going to drive this growth is this explosion is called micro-entrepreneurism. You might think of it as a gig economy, side hustle, the Uber driver, whatever that is. People wanting to just kind of drift in and out of something and make some extra money while they're living their life. Some people call it parallel income. They're making other income in parallel to what they're doing. We built this company to be the company that people would emulate, to be the company that would be the new standard. And what's so interesting is because this ruling is now called the Neora standard. It's called the gold standard. It's the case law by which this industry, to operate legitimately, needs to look like. And so it's really neat that something we set out 12 years ago to do turned out to be exactly the model that a judge would rule in favor of. that was so in alignment where the market forces are going by how the consumer wants to buy and how people want to work. It's almost like you couldn't have predicted that. I could have never seen that 12 years ago and never could have dreamed that this case actually now allowed us to be the company that would really show people how to build the right company. So the ruling, in a very serendipity way, has become our friend as far as going through that, because it's made this case law around this case so in alignment with the market forces, and people in this industry now to emulate, look more like us, to be considered proper in the industry, but more importantly, be successful in the marketplace, because how the marketplace where it's headed.
Well, our industry has it's been around for 100 years, and there's a lot of different business models within our industry. There's a lot of industries that are similar to our industry. And, I think it's interesting what we think they should be taking away from our case. What do you think they should be paying attention to in our ruling to help them give guidance? I mean, for me, it's critical focus on customers. I mean, the fact that our data says that 80% of our sales go to people that don't even touch our compensation plan, 78 to 80% go to never touch our compensation plan. These are just consumers like anybody else, buying off of Amazon, going to Target, going to somebody else's website, going to the grocery store. These are people that are just buying something. The only difference is they're buying it through someone they know, but they're just buying something. And I think that's a fundamental that people need to look at, that why are people buying your product? Well, people buy the product because they want to use the product. But beyond that, what do you think our industry, the direct selling industry, should really be looking to this case in terms of guidance?
Well, like I said earlier, I think it's the case is so in alignment where the market's at. I think for years, our industry lived over in a corner of the universe, doing things their own way, their own vernacular, their own style of doing things. Those days are over. We need to look more and more like the e-commerce platforms, the direct-to-consumer platforms. We've got to be more in alignment with people who want to work in the gig economy or the parallel company, that type of thing. And so that this ruling makes that more legitimized, okay? But as you said, customers are real important. Compliance was huge. One of the things that the judge ruled very significantly, and it was a big part of the case. And again, something that really the FTC denied we had, which we have a very robust, very empowered compliance department, very solid policy procedures. The compliance department operates away from the management team, and we have a very sophisticated monitoring system, and we handle compliance, the right way. We live within the rules, we live within the laws, but we also do it the right way with our distributors. What I mean by that is, we don't just tell them what not to do. We say, you're doing something wrong. We probably didn't know it was wrong. We're going to let you know that, but here's what you should do. And it wasn't just, you don't just scold a child. You tell a child not to do, but you should tell a child what to do. Okay. And so we treat it the same way. And what you see is, if somebody just doesn't want to obey the rules, then we got to do our things, where it's suspension, where that might be. But the judge saw that we really had an empowered compliance department, one that really was trying to do the right thing. It really was trying to communicate to their people, really trying to train them, really trying to give them the right direction. And it was because of that. That was a big part of her saying that they're doing everything they can do to do the right thing, okay? And that was one of the big reasons why the agency thing didn't fly through, which would have been very not good for independent contractors like real estate, insurance people, because that's not something you want, okay? Where companies, if you work for a company as an independent contractor, you're an agent of theirs. That's not what we want. So I think compliance has to be just as powerful. The other thing we did is that I think is real important is we took we just took the gotchas out. And a lot of times in this our industry, the products are nothing more than an excuse to launder money amongst friends. They're playing games, okay? They're playing comp plan games. We took all that out, okay? People get involved in our business and just sell our products. We baked in sellers into our business. We take people who sell our products on trips with us. We're going to Puerto Vallarta real soon with hundreds and hundreds of people. So those people just sell our products, okay? So we made them part of our community, and so I think as you said, products is real important. Taking the gotchas out is real important. Compliance is real important. Community that's inclusive, to everybody is real important. Those are things that, I think set us apart from most people in the industry. And it actually at the same time sets a standard by which the industry needs to go to, because I think the old ways of doing business are over. And this ruling even makes it even that much more so, because it is now the case law, it is the standard, or it's the Neora standard that the industry has to abide by.
I think that you brought up something really important, which is that our customer sellers, the people who just sell product, are part of our community. I think this is something that our industry struggles with. And we call our distributors, the people who sell our product, brand partners, but our brand partners and how they build their businesses, they're encouraged to sell to customers. It's not something they do in addition to what they're doing. It is their business. Their business is selling products to customers, not just looking to build a team, but selling products to customers. And we put rewards on the sellers for selling to customers, and we put rewards on the customers for being customers. We have something called Neora Cash, which if you buy product from us, you get a percentage of that back to buy product again next month. We will give you a $10 coupon if you're a customer and you share the product with somebody else. They get a $10 coupon, you get a $10 coupon. I mean, these are important things. We didn't just sell to customers, we have great products. We sell to customers in addition because that's what people are rewarded for. People are rewarded for building a customer base, and customers are rewarded for buying our products to make them more affordable, or products they love, and to really become part of our ecosystem. We don't treat customer sellers as separate. It's just, they're us. That's who we are. And that part of building our community, I think, was essential. And I think that came through in trial. And I think it came through in the judge's ruling that we have true customer demand. One of my favorite lines from the entire ruling is when she talks about, it's not a loss when you go to a grocery store and spend money. You didn't experience a business loss. You got something in exchange for the money you spent. So when somebody makes a purchase from us, it's like buying a product that you would go to the grocery store to buy. It's not a loss to have spent money on product. And I know that's something that our industry has struggled with, is what we call internal consumption, where our salespeople spend money on products. But we were able to demonstrate that our salespeople spent money on products because they wanted the product, not to, as you were talking about earlier, play games in the comp plan. Our brand partners spend less than our customers do every month because they want the product, not because they have to buy it in order to play games within the compensation plan. So I think that was something that I thought was really important to our industry. Was internal consumption's okay. Your sellers buying your product is fine, but they need to buy it for their own use. They need to buy it because they want the product, not because they want to play some sort of a game in the compensation plan. So for me, that was a really, really critical takeaway. But, this case is bigger than our industry. In fact, our litigators were honored with the state of Texas litigators of the week for the case. And then recently, Texas Law Book named it one of the most important legal matters of 2023. I mean, our attorneys are really proud of having been part of this case, as in addition to us having been really proud of taking it all the way to the end. This just indicates to me that this is bigger than just our industry, which is really kind of a niche industry. Although it's not, it's a hundreds of billions of dollars industry, but it feels like a niche industry to a lot of people. How do you think this ruling speaks or has an impact on the world at large, those other areas that maybe have independent salespeople or maybe struggle with FTC guidance and relationships?
As we spoke about earlier, agency, anything that has an independent contractor, real estate agent, insurance agent, this became a line of defense from them trying to attack that position. Okay, basically, what you see is they don't really like independent contractors as much as people working for big corporations, and that's why they thought there would be an appeal in this case, but there wasn't. And mainly that was because of our compliance more than anything else. And so, this is a slippery slope. When we talk about guidance, as more, if one company gives in, another company gives in, that starts creating guidance, which puts controls over people and companies other than the law. And that's just what we can't have. We need to be a country of laws. And so, you know, from that standpoint, it's much bigger. And I really think, you know, we call this built to win. You know, we made a lot of decisions from the very beginning to do things that were not normal in the industry, but were a right thing to do. I always said it's not only the right thing to do, it was a smart thing to do, and it turned out to be that. You guys, sometimes you need to look at how you're doing things and ask yourself, am I really doing things the right way? Okay, because it's easy to go along with the herd. You know, because when we launched the company, and the model we launched it in was not with the herd. We did not look like most direct sales companies, because they were doing other things where people were required to buy significant inventories and stockpile inventories and buying, having to do things to jump through hoops to qualify for a compensation plan. And we went the other direction because we wanted to build it right. And so it was those decisions back then that allowed us to build a model that was able to fight. You know, devil tell you this, we've been asked over and over, you know, what would you do different? You know, our answer has always been really nothing. Okay. And then what I and Deb said, and I've said, what you need to really do is look at who you are, look at your data, you know, ask yourself the hard questions, because here's what happens. Here's what I saw happen. Okay. And here's what I believe does happen a lot. When they showed up, the data really didn't matter because we gave them all the data. They had everything they needed to not go forward. Okay. But they went forward. But you need to have the data for when you get to court. You see, most people just don't get to court. But when we went to court, we had the data. They'd had it for 5-6 years, but we had it. And so you got to when you say built to win, that's something. It means you build it right from the very beginning. All your decisions, in a business, you're making hundreds of decisions all the time. And they're good, bad, or indifferent. And you got to be asking yourself, is this good for the company? Is it good for the customer? Is it good for the people who sell the products? Am I doing it the right way? Am I in alignment with the marketplace? Am I in alignment where the marketplace is going? Do I bring value? At the end of the day, do I bring value? Do I significantly bring value? And we answer those questions right all the time. And so by having done that, we were built to win. And I just think more and more companies, I mean, with social media now and all the ways that people can communicate, I think you can't sit off in the corner of the world and do things your way. You got to be in alignment with the market forces. The market, the market will dictate to you how you sell to them. The market will dictate to you how you will work with them. And you got to ask yourself, are you? Because I see in our industry, there's a lot of companies who are married to their past. They're stuck in their paradigm, and they can't get out of their own way because they're so enamored or so stuck in their business model they've had for decades. They're not willing to make the hard decisions. They're more in alignment with where the market is going. And eventually that's going to erode, and eventually it's going to get them in trouble. Okay. So you got to, especially in today's environment where things are changing so fast, consumers changing so fast, the way people are working. I mean, it shifted so fast during the pandemic, how people work. Things are happening so fast. You've got to be asking yourself, am I lying? Am I lying? Do I have the ability to adjust and become the product or become the service that's in alignment with the marketplace is going? So I think we're as people are becoming more aware, and we're becoming more sensitive to what's going on. But I do see in our industry, and I see in other industries too, where people get locked into the paradigm. Paradigms are just so married to your past. You can't make the changes to get to the future, and you get stuck as a dinosaur more than anything else. And you eventually erode yourself. Okay. So I think there's a lot of awareness going on, a lot of knowledge is changing right now in the marketplace. And I think we're a big part of it. I think this ruling has a lot of little ripples in so many directions that show people how to do business, but also show people how to build a company. Because if you did a case study on us, you would see from day one, we were trying to do things the right way. We had, I like to say, you can't be perfect, but we really had perfect intentions. Okay, we did, and that played out for us. Okay, and I think that's important that you do that. And perfect intentions always built around one word for me, and it's called value. You really bring value to the marketplace, and I think we did that.
I like that word value, and also the perfect intentions, because it speaks to something that I've always believed, and I know because you and I have known each other forever, that you believe this as well, is that it's a world of abundance. So, when I think about built to win, it's not a win-lose in most life situations. It's an everybody can win. And so when you build a company to provide value to all of the stakeholders, whether it's employees, ownership, customers, independent brand partners, when they all get value, you understand it's a world of abundance, and one team doesn't have to lose for another one to win. And it creates this synergy that you're all striving for growth, and you're all striving to win in the same ways. And that comes with a strong vision. And I think the fact that the company was set up under those principles that everyone can win is a big piece of what made us built to win, because it wasn't that brand partners had to lose so that customers could get value, or that the company had to lose so that brand partners could have value. It really is a synergistic, everybody can win philosophy. And I like the word value and tying that to it. Every stakeholder has value and has brought value. One of the things related, when we talk about independent contractors, though, it's not just direct sellers. Real estate agents and everyone. And one of the big keys to this case, to me, was that you make money by selling product, and it's okay to make money by building a team that's also selling product. But the core value there has to be ultimately selling product to people who want to consume the product, and for those purchases to be there. And if you extend that out, if this ruling had gone the other way, if that had not been okay, that would have had a serious negative impact on not just the direct selling industry, but a lot of other industries who insurance sales, real estate sales, people who build teams of sellers. We definitely saw some significant negative potential there that we were able to avoid through this victory. So, I think that where we're going with this ruling is, I think, surprises a lot of people because we're not changing. I think we get the question, what would you change at the beginning? And you get the question, well, now that you have the ruling, what are you changing? And I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you, what are we changing? What are we doing differently after this ruling?
We're just leaning more into who we are and just trying to become a better version of what we built, and be in alignment with the market forces as they dictate to us what we should do. So lean into it, be the best we can be, and it's going to look different a year from now, and we'll be that. Okay. But it's not like we're doing anything, some monumental overhaul, or we're waiting for this case to get over so we can do something big. We're just being what we are. And what we are was perfect enough to win this case.
That is true. What did you learn? What is your biggest takeaway from this?
I'd have to just say, I'm just really proud of the decisions we made from the very beginning, how we put the company together, decisions we made along the way to keep adjusting and make it even more right. Without that, would not have had the confidence to go into the fight. And then, but even with that, most people wouldn't have gotten into the fight because they hadn't. Real proud that we were willing to take it on. It's a very costly thing in so many ways, not just money, but resources and time and emotions and your own personal being. To have done that, to have kept everybody together, I just it's a huge gratification to know that if you're willing to do the right thing, you're willing to stand behind it and defend it. There are those people who will align themselves with you. Not everybody, okay, but there are the good ones, and most certainly, I have found now that going through this whole thing, that we're in a better place now to have impact on the world, make people better, than we ever were. So I come through, like Deb said, abundance. I always look at people, you're either a giver or taker. I run from takers, I run towards givers. I believe in abundance versus scarcity. And I really believe this whole thing has turned into an abundance. And although, at one point probably looked like scarcity when you're looking down the barrel of that gun, but that's not what happened. And the truth prevailed. And it just felt good to be the person who stood behind that truth and defended it.
Well, there's not a lot of people who would have done what you did. I mean, you put your legacy on the line, you put your personal well-being on the line. I know it was a lot, having walked the path with you, but I think a lot of people don't realize what it took to do what you did. I am personally impressed. I've learned a lot along the way. Mostly what I've learned is you can go through anything with the right team around you, and right. You can get to the other end with the right team around you. And I'm so proud and happy to be part of this team. And I'm excited because next week we're bringing on the team to talk a little about our lessons and our journey and what we all learned along the way. And Amber Olson Rourke and Dave Fleming are going to join us on next podcast to explore a little bit about our personal leadership lessons and our personal journeys that we went on. It was a big gargantuan thing. This is really going to be something we're going to talk about a lot over several episodes, but it's not all we're going to talk about because, Jeff and I are huge personal development fans. Amber is a huge personal development advocate, and what she has brought to the table as part of the team in that has been massive. Dave has got experiences that the rest of us don't have, and what we all have in common is we want to share and share some of those experiences and some of that knowledge with you guys. And we were built to win for this case, but we want to stay built to win for the future. And I couldn't be more honored than to be with the team I'm with, and we'll look forward to talking to you next episode.
Thank you.
That was Neora's Jeff Olson and Deborah Hayes talking about how years of hard work finally paid off and allowed them to win a historic ruling. Be sure to join us for the next episode when you'll hear how the leadership team was changed by this battle and what they learned while walking through the fire. And remember, to make sure you don't miss a minute of Built to Win, go to wherever you download your favorite podcasts and hit subscribe. And while you're there, please be sure and give us a review to let others know what you think.